From WisPolitics in Madison, you're listening to Capital Chats.
It's Capital Chats. I'm Joshua Irvin, a reporter for WisPolitics. Last month, tech giant Oracle sued Wisconsin's Public Service Commission, seeking to lower a credit rating benchmark, among other financial security requirements, that would exempt the company from posting billions of dollars in collateral for the cost of new power plants that will serve Oracle's Port Washington data center. The Citizens Utility Board of Wisconsin, a consumer advocacy group, was a leading advocate of the financial security provisions that Oracle now seeks to overturn. This week, I sat down with CUB's executive director, Tom Content, to discuss the lawsuit, Wisconsin Utilities' massive power buildout, and how other utilities are proposing to cover data centers' power costs.
Tom, thank you for joining me.
Thanks, Josh. Great to be with you.
I was hoping we could start by having you bring us up to speed on the lawsuit that Oracle has filed against the Public Service Commission.
Sure. Well, Oracle is concerned with some collateral and credit protection requirements that the PSC included when they adopted the We Energies data center tariff. When we put in testimony to this effect, we used a slide of Tom Cruise saying, "Show me the money," as in our public presentations. And I think, this is where we are concerned about the risk of things going sideways and not as utilities or tech companies intended. And so we're happy that that protection was in place. But we'll have to see what the court does with this petition in Ozaukee County.
Gotcha. And these collateral, these financial security requirements, this is to pay for new power plants that would be built to serve Oracle's data center needs in Port Washington. Yes?
Right. There are provisions in place to help pay for those power plants, but then this is an extra protection if things go wrong. In other words, if the projects don't materialize to the fullest extent, and so not as many power plants are needed, that's the kind of risk that this is designed to protect customers from.
So Oracle wants to lower how much collateral it would be required to provide. What would you say is at stake here for ratepayers in simple terms?
In simple terms, we're concerned about either an AI bubble popping or once you get into the tech business, as the experience of anybody who ever has had a BlackBerry learned when iPhones came out, technology changes rapidly in tech, and the utility will be making decades worth of investments because of the massive amounts of electricity used by data centers. And so this is really a belts and suspenders approach to say, not today, customers won't be paying extra, and even if things go south, customers won't have to shoulder those risks.
Now, you mentioned BlackBerry there, which you also referenced in your regulatory filings when this was still a case before the Public Service Commission. I really liked another comparison that CUB made, which was to Enron, the the oil and gas giant that went bankrupt in the early 2000s. Would you mind kind of elaborating on that comparison?
Sure. So yeah, they were taking the electricity sector by storm and trading power across state lines and making a mint on it. And they were a darling of Wall Street, in much the same way that big tech is right now. And what Steve Keim, our chief economist, pointed out in the testimony is that they had an investment grade credit rating in late October. And by mid-December, they were bankrupt. Even just days before they filed for bankruptcy, there was some signal that came out from credit rating agencies or Enron itself that said, everything's fine, nothing to see here. And then lo and behold, they went under. And once a company goes under, then it's all about, who's got the best lawyers and how strong are the protections and the legal language and the protections that were built in to the original agreements. And so that's why we spent a lot of time focused on these core, what we thought were core issues for the homeowners and the renters and the small businesses we represent who are We Energy's customers.
Gotcha. And at this time, the PSC issued its final decision on the terms by which Oracle and other data center developers would be billed for their power needs. Oracle first challenged that before the PSC and then took it to court. This leaves open the question of how much of this new generation that We Energies is seeking to buy or build, and that Oracle would use, how much of it is Oracle, currently on the hook for under the terms of this decision that the PSC reached.
I mean, as of today, we don't know the answer to that, but we know that of the We Energies capital plan, and We Energies parent company has said this on their own conference calls, of their capital plan over the coming years, most of it is for the Port Washington project, which is Oracle. We Energies has said that these two projects, Microsoft and Oracle, would be 5.3 gigawatts of electricity, so 5,300 megawatts. And that just happens to be the same amount of electricity that all the We Energies customers used on the hottest summer day 2 years ago. And so they're looking to double the system, and a lot of that is for Oracle.
And speaking of that, capital plan, how much of that has actually been built or bought at this point?
I don't think much. I mean, We Energies filed applications for roughly $5 to $6 billion of new projects last fall. Most of those are still in process. There may be one or two solar projects that have been advanced so far. But it's 12 or 13 projects and actually about 20 different PSC case applications because of the convoluted way a process is over there. And so it's not all on the hook. Nothing's on the hook yet. But when you look at the scale of the investment and the scale of construction, which is now no longer 24 hours a day up there, but it's just a massive site to behold, and that belies the massive amounts of energy that are going to be used because AI data centers and hyperscale data centers use orders of magnitude more electricity than the 47 other data centers that we've already had in Wisconsin that are operating as of now.
Gotcha. Now, since the PSC approved its rules for billing data centers in We Energy's coverage area, Madison Gas and Electric, and several other utilities have proposed their own rules for how they would build data centers. Now, MG&E proposed to have data centers post a portion of the collateral that for a new power plant based on their credit rating. This is very similar to something that Oracle and We Energies had proposed prior to this lawsuit. Can I ask, is that a would that be a reasonable or an acceptable compromise position as in CUB's eyes?
Well, we'll certainly look at it. I mean, MG&E took great pains to imitate what We Energies got approved, with this one exception, and kind of a glaring exception, given where how the PSC decided that case. And what they're essentially asking for is what We Energies and Oracle asked for after the case was already closed and after the decision was already made. And our point there was, Oracle never showed up to the case. I mean, as the future largest customers of We Energies, we were shocked that this became an issue for them when they never bothered to raise these issues while the case was actually going on over at the Public Service Commission. But as to MG&E and other utilities, we'll look at it. The PSC, they looked at the evidence and the law, and decided that the protections that we advocated for, that we brought in because other states like Indiana had advanced those protections, and they looked at that and said and made a decision. So they like to be consistent when they make decisions. So it'll be interesting to see how they tackle this issue.
Going back to those other data center billing proposals,
Sure.
the PSC approved one from Alliant that was just for the Beaver Dam data center, and now Xcel has proposed rules for their service area where data centers are not build for new generation that's built exclusively for them, but rather pay basically are part of the same pool, get their power from the same pool of generation as everybody else. And
Right.
when a utility builds new power plants, those data centers pay a increased rate for their share of that new generation. Can I ask how this model compares to what's gone into effect with the We Energies tariff in terms of the risk to ratepayers?
Yeah, so what I'd emphasize there is it is a completely different approach than We Energies took. We were pleased with the outcome of the We Energies decision, but it was, remember that it's just a framework, and a framework that actually didn't have a lot of math behind it. In other words, the utility and the tech companies, for that matter, never supplied good hard data on what the system would look like and what it would with and without these projects. And I'm talking about the We Energies case. And that was one of our big criticisms. So in the We Energies framework, we have to actually follow that through, whether that's in the current rate case that we're in right now with We Energies, whether that's in the construction applications they have for all this massive amounts of new generation. And so we have to take that framework and then watch it get implemented with hopefully real hard numbers and good math showing up in the cases. You know, our organization is all about following the data. And I'll say, to Excel's credit, they provide math in their application. They actually show results of an analysis that it doesn't take it takes a hypothetical data center because they don't have a client under contract or customer under contract, but it does the math of here's what our system is today, and here's what it looks like 15 or 20 years or whatever the number is down the road with and without this project. And here's the difference. We think both Alliant and We Energies missed an opportunity to show the math in the first go round, and we feel. I'm not saying we're going to endorse the Excel approach because we still have to take a sharpen our pencils and review the application. But from a starting point, the fact that it's taking that data-driven approach is a good start.
Okay. Tom, thank you for joining me.
Happy to. Reach out anytime.
A note before we go. Earlier this month, credit rating agency S&P Global Ratings cut Oracle's credit rating to its lowest investment grade rating. The credit agency cited Oracle's growing investments in artificial intelligence and that industry's uncertain path to profitability. Thank you again to Tom Content and to you, the listener. I'm Joshua Irvin with Wiz Politics, and this has been Capital Chance.